Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Stop Who Does That? A True Crime Podcast. I'm Jenna,
I'm Jackie.
and because Thanksgiving is coming up, we wanted to take a moment to thank our family, friends, and even strangers who have tuned in to our first episode and given us feedback. Your support and kind words mean so much to us, and we really appreciate it. Everybody who has liked and subscribed to the podcast, just keep the feedback coming. And any ideas for new cases or local cases that you may have, feel free to message us. And we definitely would like to take a look at them. We also want to give a special thanks to Brian Daniels for your enthusiastic support. We really appreciate you, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
This episode is dedicated to Anna Maciejewska, a Malvern, Pennsylvania wife and mother who has been missing for the last 8 years. Everything that we review today in this podcast comes from the probable cause affidavit and is alleged. All right, Jenna, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So this is our first deep dive, and I have been focusing on this case for far too long. It is near and dear to me, as I do recall in 2017 seeing missing posters for Anna around my town and the surrounding areas. I remember seeing Facebook posts in Facebook groups and community pages about Anna and pushing the local police to investigate further and do something about her disappearance. As you will see today, things look like they're heading in a certain direction, and that is how most of the community felt. But her husband actually was not arrested until May 14th of this year. So that was 8 years that we have in between all the events that we're about to go over and when an arrest was eventually made.
And she's still considered a missing person.
Correct. No body has been recovered.
No body. So that's another shocking component of this case. It's been 8 years and no body.
Correct.
She's a wife, she's a mother, a sister, a friend, a daughter. She deserves justice. And hopefully
She does.
The time is coming where Anna will receive that.
Absolutely. And today we are dedicating our episode to her. That way we don't forget her.
Absolutely.
So, let's get into her life.
Yes.
Anna was born in Warsaw, Poland in 1973, making her 43 years old at the time of her disappearance. She grew up with her parents and one sister. Her parents are still in Poland. Not too much is known about her childhood in Poland, but she did remain extremely close with childhood friends since kindergarten. They called themselves the Three Annas.
Aw.
I know. In 1997, Anna decided to move to the United States when she was 24 years old to study mathematics at the University of Kentucky. She already had 2 degrees in Poland for math and computer science at that time, so she was a very intelligent woman.
It's pretty amazing. 2 degrees.
Yeah.
In her early 20s, and then she's working on a 3rd degree here in the United States. That's
I know.
very impressive.
Very much a go-getter, very ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Eventually, she found love when she met Alan Gould. It's unclear when they met, but they were married in June 2006 in a traditional Polish ceremony in Warsaw. We do know that she got a job at ING in Westchester, Pennsylvania, now known as Voya Financial. She worked there as a loyal and dedicated employee until her disappearance. And we will talk more about that later, and how her coworkers and her boss play a role in the investigation. She was also successful and chose not to live above her means and preferred to save money. We do know that she owned another home aside from her primary residence, so she had investments that she was maintaining.
We do know that they had built a beautiful home. It was like a dream home, and just beautiful, like kind of stone barn looking, multiple car garage, big driveway, just a beautiful dream home that she worked very hard to achieve.
Absolutely. And from what we learn about her in the probable cause affidavit, she was very frugal with her money. So yeah, it's just very interesting as we go through these things here. Eventually, she did become a mother. She gave birth to her only child, a son, in May 2013. So today, he would be 12 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was very important to Anna that her son grew up understanding and appreciating her Polish background. He was even enrolled in a prestigious Polish school in 2016 located in New Jersey. So around the age of 3, she enrolled him in a Polish school.
And
Very enlightening to me. I didn't know those existed.
I didn't either, and I
Yeah.
read that she had to drive because we know that drive to New
Mhm.
Jersey. She had to drive a few days a week back and forth, for this. I mean, he was 3 years old, for a few hours a day, she would make that drive to New Jersey for him for this special school. She was just a doting mother, and she just loved her son so much.
She wanted the best for him, and it seems like she was a tough but firm mother. And eventually, this became a source of numerous disagreements that she had with Alan on how to raise their son. So that was a
Yeah,
source of
and
contention for them.
going to Poland, and back and forth to United States, I think that was a major source
Hmm.
of disagreements as well. I know they got married over there in Poland. He agreed to do that, but, I don't know if he realized how important that was to her in her
Hmm.
life, her heritage, her family. Her parents still lived over there and her sister. So, I mean, it's extremely huge part of her life. And I just don't know if he thought about that at the time they were starting a life together.
Even so, why does that bother him so much?
Right. Like I mean, I would think you would want your
Right.
son to grow up knowing his mother's culture. I
Right.
think that's pretty cool to have dual citizenship, know another language, have a whole family
Right.
over there. I think that's great. And that's such an added benefit and very cool. I don't know. I think he also was a lot older than her, if I remember
I believe
correctly. So maybe he just, wasn't into it.
he probably was very set in his ways, if I can speculate.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably accurate on that.
Yeah. And she also was, even though she was far away from her family, like her mom and her dad, she frequently communicated with her family in Poland, which is a major piece to the
Mhm.
story, as we will come to find out. But even so, while she was here in the US, she built a community around her. She was outgoing, very social, had many friends. I believe she went to a movie club. She loved working out. She did Pilates, book
Mhm.
clubs. I mean, she stayed involved and tried to be as involved as she could to build a life here. Whenever you move somewhere new, you want to seek out community, and sometimes that involves joining
Yeah.
clubs.
And she looked like the kind of person who enjoyed the outdoors. She was, blonde hair, blue eyes. She just had this smile and look about her that you could tell she just
Hmm.
enjoyed life. Like, you could just pick up on that. You could tell she liked being active. She liked doing activities with her son and being outside and her friends. And she had a very well-balanced, well-rounded life. She had everything going for her.
She was living her life up until about March 27th, 2017. This was the last day anyone spoke to Anna, and she would not be reported missing until April 11th by not her husband, but her employer.
Right, Jackie. So that's a long time, to have not heard from her. So the last day anyone spoke to Anna, not texting, like actually spoke to her on the phone, was March 27th.
Correct.
And Alan did not report her missing on March 28th, March 29th. So according to Alan, she was sick.
She was sick with a bug, stomach bug.
And so
Yeah.
that's what he kept telling her employer. He kept telling her employer that she was sick, she wasn't feeling good, and then he kept extending that every few days. Um,
Yes. And he canceled hair appointments for her,
yes,
which
yes,
he never had done in the past.
yes. Meanwhile, time is ticking. Time is going by. Her
Yep.
family's not hearing from her, and we know, like, we each have a sister as well. We're talking to our sister all the time. Her sister, her parents aren't hearing from her for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. That's extremely out of character for Anna. They're starting to think something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But as we later found out, Alan was using her phone to text with them and
Mm-hmm.
communicate with them. Although they could not speak to her on the phone, they were getting these text messages from her. That's what kind of kept them from contacting the police right away, which is, I think, Alan's thinking behind why he was doing that. He kind of wanted to like buy himself more time.
Correct. So she goes missing. The last time anyone hears from her, March 27th. She's not reported missing until sometime in April.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's expected to be flying to Poland for her father's birthday party.
Yeah, his 80th birthday.
Birthday was March 30th,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a text message that they received.
Yeah. Saying
Okay.
so the text message that she sent, well, not she actually, Alan sent from her cell phone to her father was a happy birthday, dad text in Polish. The problem is the Polish was incorrect. Now, Anna was Polish. She spoke the language, and that incorrect text to her father alarmed him that something is not right. Meanwhile, she canceled her trip to go out there. He's getting this text in incorrect Polish. Her family is starting to get worried, and they're kind of putting the pieces together that something's not right here. And at the same time, her family starts feeling like this towards the end of March into early April is when her work keeps getting texts from her phone saying, I'm not coming in. I don't feel good. I don't feel good.
Because she's got the
Well,
stomach bug. Yep.
and what do we know about Anna? She's a loyal employee. She doesn't do this. She does not call out for days at a time, let alone weeks at a time. This is just completely out of character for her. And we know from other cases, your employer and your coworkers, they know you. They know your habits. They know a lot about your life and the kind of person that you are. So her coworkers and her boss are immediately picking up on this. Something's not right. This is totally unlike Anna. And they get concerned. They get so concerned that by April 11th, Voya, her employer, calls the police and says, something's not right with Anna. And we want you to go to the house and check. She hasn't been to work in 2 weeks. And that's exactly what the police did. They spoke to Alan.
When they spoke to Alan, he claims he hasn't seen her since yesterday, April 10th, when she left for work. Yet work is saying she didn't show up on April 10th or April 11th, or even the days before
even
that.
the 2 weeks leading up to that. But he's telling the police, oh, yesterday she left for work, haven't seen her since. But work knows that she didn't show up.
Right. And because Anna's husband told her boss that he was under the impression she was going to work yesterday, that's what led them to call the police, because that was so concerning to them. Then on April 11th, they receive a second phone call about Anna. And that is from a friend of her family's in Poland. They were calling to report her missing as well.
Yes. So this is all happening at the same time. Her family, friends in Poland, and her employer, all around that time, April 10th-ish into the 11th, they're all kind of on the same wavelength here.
Yep. Yeah, and this family friend of hers in Poland, mind you, it probably took a lot of research to find the Pennsylvania State Police barracks phone number to report her missing, but they revealed that they had not spoken with her since March 26th, 2017. They all believe that was abnormal for her, especially considering, like we said earlier, she had plans to travel to Poland to visit her family during this time frame, but didn't go. After that, the police were dispatched to her home for a welfare check on Anna. So this is where her and Alan live primarily. They looked outside through the windows, walked all around the perimeter of the home, and they found no signs of anyone being home. So then they reported back to the barracks that no one was home for them to speak to. On April 12th, we find out that at noon, probably during his lunch break, the defendant, Alan Gould, contacted Pennsylvania State Police Barracks to report Anna missing. How kind of you.
And Jackie,
Finally get
Don't you
there.
think it's funny that he reported her missing the day after the police came looking for her? So I'm
Right.
pretty sure if the police never came, he never would have reported her missing. He never would have. He
No.
was feeling the heat. He was probably like, shit.
Oh, I know. And I'm telling you, even if you take his word that on April 11th, he says, oh, she never came home from work yesterday. I'm sorry. My husband, my kids, everybody would be like, why hasn't she come home tonight?
Exactly. And he said to the cops, well, I just wanted to give it a few more days. Nobody would be like, you know what? She never came home. I'll just give her a few days. That's
No,
just
that's not
not,
normal.
that's
No
not what
mother
that,
leaves her kid unattended without announcing it where she's going.
no. And not only did she not pick up their son that day, we're both mothers. We would never, ever leave. I mean, like, that is the last thing a mother would do is not pick up your son from school. So many red flags. And not only did she not come home from work, not pick up her son, she also, when officers came back to the home on April 12th and they went inside the home, they found what? All her belongings, Jackie. Cell
Yep.
phone, iPad, her car keys, everything.
And let me point out to you here in the probable cause affidavit that her iPhone was in startup/update status as if it had been reset.
Of course it was. Of course it was. That's Alan doing his best to cover his
Cover it up.
tracks. Okay, Alan, does he not know that the phone has like GPS and tracking and the police can pull records just like a computer? People like Alan
I don't
think
get it.
they're so smart. And they're not, Jackie. They don't know what they're doing. I mean,
Don't we know by now that even if you delete things off your phone, they still can
yeah.
get it from the
Even if
servers?
you smashed your phone into a million pieces,
They could still.
they can still pull everything off of it. I mean, this was 2017. Everyone had an iPhone, and I'm like, this iPhones weren't new. I just think he thought he was smarter than everyone. But
Clearly.
Alan, you're not. So yeah. Oh, you know what else they did when they were there? They specifically asked Alan how their marriage was. And he said,
Oh, this is great.
oh, great. Like our marriage, we have a great marriage. Everything's going terrific. And they said right to his face, well, are you planning on getting a divorce? And he was like, no, no. Why would you say that? We would never get divorced. But what did they find, Jackie?
Divorce papers.
Right there on the counter. And that's motive number one, if anything else. Money, affairs, divorce, those are like the top three motives that we've seen in cases. Honestly, in my opinion, she was probably working on filing the divorce. She probably just picked up the paperwork and had it on the counter, explaining it to him. And I think he, in that moment, snapped. I mean, the papers, they were right there. He obviously saw them.
Yeah. And here in the affidavit on April 13th, one of the state troopers, he spoke with someone at the Women's Emotional Wellness Center. This is for women who are struggling with something emotionally or having marriage troubles. And she said that she had a troublesome marriage and was not happy with the relationship that she had with Alan. Specifically, they disagreed on how to raise their son, as we alluded to earlier, and felt that Alan obstructed her from having the type of relationship she wanted with her son. She did inform Alan that she wanted a divorce, but he disagreed whenever they spoke of it. She informed this informant at the Women's Emotional Wellness Center that she and Alan had set a firm date to discuss a divorce. So it sounds to me like she broached the subject with him and she was trying to set up something more concrete, maybe at an attorney's office, I'm not sure, but to really sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides the divorce, and basically her leaving all her belongings behind, including her most precious thing in the whole world, her son, they also found, the home to be immaculately clean, especially her bathroom sink.
Oh, yes.
They thought that's weird if she just went to work yesterday. It was absolutely spotless. Like, when you go to work in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, there's going to be water drips, there's going to be your toothbrush out. There was nothing. None of her stuff was out, and there was no water marks. It was shining clean, which that stuck out to the police.
Yeah.
It just goes to show what Alan was doing the last few weeks.
I know, and the fact that the cleaners could notice something was off, that normally maybe she's a little messy. I know my vanity is messy. I've got my makeup bags everywhere, strewn out everywhere. So I'd imagine that's probably what was going on with her bathroom. Maybe she had hair products everywhere. But to come in, for your cleaners to notice that that's all cleaned up, that's a big deal. And I
Yeah.
also just wanted to point out, too, that the last time the cleaners were in the residence while she was alive was on March 16th, 2017. So the cleaners were there on March 16th. They saw her there. The next time they came to the residence was April 13th, after she's been missing.
Okay. Yeah. So then they know.
So they're probably cleaning up some evidence for all we know.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, because of the timing of it all, definitely. In addition to leaving her car keys behind, suspiciously, her vehicle was not at the residence. So her car keys were there, but her vehicle was missing.
You were born yesterday. I mean,
he really is something else. And this vehicle was Audi. It was a navy blue. I believe it was a 2011 navy blue Audi sedan. She worked really hard for that car. It was a car she drove every day to work. That was her main vehicle. She would never leave it. It would be at the home or at work. It was very suspicious that it was not at the home.
Right. I mean, an Audi, you don't abandon your Audi. I mean, you're an Audi owner. You get
I
it,
do have
right?
an Audi, and I would never. I would never just leave my car and the keys. They're with me. My car is with me, and my keys are with me. But it actually was found. Her vehicle was found on May 8th. Not at the home, not at her work. It was found a private residential community in Charlestown Township. It's a community with 191 homes, 2 entrances, 2 exits. It was next to 38 acres of wooded land. And funny enough, this community was less than 2 miles away from Anna and Alan's home. She had absolutely no connection, though, to this residential community. There was absolutely no reason for her car to be there. She didn't have any friends who lived there, no business associates lived in that neighborhood. So there was no reason to have her car be there.
So let me get this straight. He's expecting us to believe that the day before 2 other people report her missing, one of which is all the way in Poland, mind you. They report her missing before he calls the police and reports them missing. He expects us to believe the previous day was the last time he saw her, on April 10th, and that she went to work, and that somehow her car got to a lot 2 miles away from home without her keys.
Yep, without the keys.
Just so we're keeping track of where we're at so far, audience. That is what he's trying to lead us to believe.
He told the police originally those were her car keys. Then once the vehicle was found, he said, oh, just kidding. Those are her spare keys. I don't know where her real keys are. Those are just a spare. I swear, those are just a spare. But so he's starting to like trip himself up. And the whole time the police are like, dude, like, you just stop. Like, we know. We just have to put the pieces together. So when they did find the Audi, oddly enough, just like the bathroom, Jackie, it was thoroughly clean, top to bottom. They also found an unknown white substance on the driver's side door handle. It seemed to be sprayed with some type of substance. There was also no note left in the car, maybe like a suicide note or something like that. Absolutely no note. There was also absolutely no blood or any signs of a struggle. When they located the vehicle in May about a month after she was reported missing. So it sat there for a month, totally clean, and it was locked. I just want to mention it was locked.
Right. So she thought to lock her car before she decides to go missing. Okay.
And
But I do
and thoroughly clean it.
and clean it. But I do want to point out too, one important piece of evidence that was found in the car was her purse. It was found in the trunk of the vehicle.
Okay.
Why the trunk?
Do you put your purse in the trunk, Jackie?
No. Not unless I'm parking somewhere and maybe going for a run or going into the gym and I want to lock my purse up in the car so nobody
Right,
sees it.
but-
That's the only thing I could
Yeah.
think. But in the purse, there were 39 receipts that they retrieved spanning the dates of February 11th through March 28th, 2017. Here, everyone's reporting they haven't heard from her since March 27th, but then we've got a receipt that puts her maybe alive, at least March
Yes.
20th.
And that's what they used, I believe, to pinpoint her exact last known day of,
Of living.
of living.
Yep.
I mean,
Looks like she picked up her dry cleaning on March 28th. So they find the Audi and then they decide to search the wooded area near where the Audi was found. I mean, logic would make you think, okay, that's where we found her car. Maybe she went for a walk somewhere in the woods and got lost, got hurt, what have you. They even took out cadaver dogs, aviation units, marine units, troopers, but they didn't find any sign of Anna, dead or alive. Now, interestingly enough, they did look into the GPS on the Audi. So this logs user input entries for navigational purposes. So when you're putting in an address on your car for the GPS, it's logging those entries, dates, and times.
yeah, it basically was tracking all the movements of the vehicle, which I didn't realize that the computer inside of a car is capable of that much tracking. I
Yeah.
really was surprised.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't turn up anything new, like an address out of the ordinary. They were all doctor's offices, salons, and places that she's known to frequent. The next piece of this investigation is particularly impressive that they picked up on this. They were looking in the vehicle for forensic evidence, and as part of the search, one of the investigators took note of the driver's seat position when the vehicle was found. One of the investigators is a female who was around the same height as Anna. So Anna was 5'4", so she was a petite lady.
Mm-hmm.
She sat in the driver's seat and realized she wasn't able to depress the clutch because this was a manual transmission vehicle. And that made them realize somebody might have moved this seat in order to drive the vehicle to its final resting place.
Well, yeah, we've seen that before. He didn't even think to move the seat back. He was getting sloppy. I just think he thought he was so much smarter than everyone else. He thought he could move the car 2 miles down the road. Nobody would ever find it. And that was that.
Right. I know I'm 5 foot. My husband is 6'2". I know when he's been in my car. Clear as day.
Absolutely.
I mean, and he never puts the seat back when he's pulling my car out of the driveway so we can get out. But no, it's a glaring difference in when he moves the seat versus when I have the seat moved. And they had found another investigator who was the same height as Alan Gould, the defendant, placed at 5'7". So they had an investigator who was the same height sit in the driver's seat where it currently was, and he was easily able to push the clutch and operate the vehicle. So it kind of points out that it was adjusted for someone who was around 5'7", which was also the same height as Anna's husband.
Wow, shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's just part of the pieces of her footprints to get to this point. They went over her work schedule, her son's schedule, every minute of her day was gone over with a fine-tooth comb to see exactly what she was missing, what was canceled, not picking up her son, her car being found. So the police started to put all of these things together. While they're doing this, they also took Alan's phone, obviously his computer, and what did they find on the Google search? Alan was searching for local criminal defense attorneys. So that is a little sus. I mean, if you didn't do anything, I mean, I get it. Like, it is good to have an attorney. I'll play devil's advocate. Like, it's good to have an attorney if you're involved or being thought of in, some type of crime, but that just, it didn't look good for Alan.
No, I mean, he searched for these criminal defense lawyers on April 24th and April 25th, and also had a burner phone. Did we mention the burner phone?
The burner phone.
Why do
Yes.
you need a burner phone? Why? I mean, to be fair, you could
also wrote a check for the attorney for a $75,000 check. It wasn't like he was just looking for attorneys. He actually retained one and wrote a check for $75,000. That's huge. I mean, that's a lot of money. So he was preparing, I think, for inevitable.
And we found out that there was proof that he used Google Translate to send that text message to her father on March 30th saying happy birthday. So that can explain why they realized that's not proper Polish. I know that we know when someone's texting us from another country and they're using Google Translate, right? Like, it's just the language isn't as relaxed as we normally would as a native speaker. So it's probably little nuances like that they picked up on that Google Translate just can't help you with.
No.
It's not going to make you sound like a native speaker.
Yeah, I guess Alan didn't know that when he was Google searching how to say happy birthday.
No, he didn't know that. And then, so now that we've talked about what the information dump on his devices resulted in, let's talk about that missing tarp, Jenna.
The missing tarp. So the police investigated some of Alan's purchases and in local stores in the community. So they found a purchase for 3 blue tarps at a Home Depot in Fraser, PA. He purchased 3 16 by 20 Blue Hawk tarps. And when the police came to the home, and searched the home, they only found 2 of those Blue Hawk tarps. So they have
one's missing.
They have proof 3 were purchased at Home Depot, only 2 were at the home. And so
we will know that the tarps were purchased an entire year before she went missing, but still he had possession of 3 tarps that we know of.
Yes.
And one just happens to be missing.
Yeah, he could not account for the missing tarp. There was no answer when questioned where it was. He couldn't come up with it. So that's another smoking gun, not looking well for Alan. Now we have mounting evidence. The Google search, the check, retaining an attorney, the missing Audi, the clean house, the missing tarp. Is just mounting evidence, stacking against Alan up to this point. So
and keep in mind, he was not arrested for 8 years.
Right. So it's just mind-blowing how much circumstantial, there was no blood found at the scene in the car. There was the canine detection of human remains in the woods. The woods nearest to their home. The canine detection went into the woods and then all of a sudden it stopped. So the dogs, they couldn't track it any further than a little bit into the woods by their house and then it completely stopped.
I wonder if he took her out back at some point?
Yeah, do you think?
Wrapped her up in the tarp?
That's where the tarp came into use and the scent maybe went. We can talk about that, in our theories as well.
And they did bring the dogs to her car in September.
That's
on September 6th, 2017. They had the dogs sniff her Audi, which I believe would be impounded at the police barracks somewhere. And they were alerted to the positive presence of either blood, bone tissue, or decomp fluid within a specific area of the trunk of the vehicle. Now remember, her purse was found in the trunk, and the dogs are picking up on the scent of a woman. The dogs are picking up on the scent of a potential body being in this trunk, and these dogs are specifically trained on cadavers. So they're looking for blood, bone, tissue, or decom fluid. They're not going to bark and alert if they could smell someone's scent, but they're going to smell.
Right.
They're going to
Yeah.
alert if they smell decom.
Yeah. So it was picked up in the car. It was picked up in the woods nearest the home. We have all this mounting evidence on Alan, and then we just don't have a body. We just don't have a clue, except for our own theories. And Alan has not confessed to
No.
anything at all. So all we have to go off of is the evidence that the police have collected, the facts, the Audi, the texts, and all of that, and our own theories as to what may have happened to Anna.
Well, the final piece of the puzzle here was the Audi download. Now, this is very significant because do we remember the date that everyone reported her missing?
Yeah, April 11th.
April 11th. Okay. So how would her car have been operated on April 11th if he's saying he last saw her on April 10th? So according to the police, they did a warrant to download information on the vehicle. So apparently our vehicles track every time we turn it on and
this
drive it
part of the
places.
case was really informative.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that not only is any GPS you're using on Waze or anything being tracked through the car, but also the car battery. This case really was informative about how a vehicle, even though there's no evidence found in the vehicle itself is telling the story.
It's tracking. Remember how this evidence played a huge role in the Murdoch trial? I remember them pulling the computer logs of his car to show how quickly his car was driving at certain times. So
you're right.
So this can be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. And I think for me, if I were on the jury, and again, he's still awaiting trial, but if I were on the jury, this is what gets me, is that he's saying she went to work on April 10th, but the report says the vehicle was not started on April 10th. 2017. The last two trips in this car occurred on April 11th at 01:30 hours. That's 1:30 at night. This is all in military time. So that's 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
in the middle of the night with a total trip time of 9.6 minutes. And April 9th at 4:30. So 4:30 in the afternoon with a total trip time of 16 minutes. It should be noted that this is consistent with how long it would take to travel from the defendant's residence to where the Audi was found. He didn't know any of this was getting recorded, did he? He did not know. I don't know what he does for a living or what he did for a living, but that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is very, very interesting. That was just another interesting piece of this case with the battery download. It's facts. Like we said, I mean, that's not, you can't really excuse your way out of it. It's literally facts pulled from the car.
No, you can't. I mean, I feel like whatever happened allegedly happened.
Allegedly.
I don't think it was well thought through. Fortunately for our listeners, as much as I know you're wondering as much as I am and Jenna is, why it took them so long to arrest him when they had all this evidence from 2017, I don't know.
Yeah, that we don't know. I can only assume that they were lining up everything to get Alan. And I think they may have kept it quiet on what they were doing and withholding information from the public because he probably was a flight risk. So they had to make it seem like he wasn't considered a suspect because they needed him. They needed to get all their ducks in a row and all the facts and everything lined up before they could make their move and finally arrest him.
Right. And we know you get one shot at arresting somebody and trying them. And your goal is to get them convicted the first time. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe they didn't feel like they had enough. And that usually can be the case. They want to make sure that they have enough. And again, I want to be careful because I know a lot of the times the police don't reveal a lot of information to preserve a defendant's right to a fair trial. And that is something that we definitely want our listeners to be aware of, is that everyone has a right to a fair trial. He has not been convicted at this time. And just to give you a little brief update, he was arrested May 14th. However, pulling up this docket sheet here, which is all public information, I'm looking at the docket and it's kind of unclear what is going on in this case. And I'm going to share my screen for a second so you can see what I'm talking about here. It is a bit hard to follow.
We do want to say he is still in jail. He's not out on bond. He's still in jail awaiting a trial.
Yeah, so we have on June 26th, they filed information. They were awaiting trial, and then it was updated again September 9th of this year, awaiting trial. Then we have call of the criminal list, September 18th, 2025. It was scheduled. Then it was moved to September 22nd. And then we had a criminal trial scheduled for October 13th of this year. It was canceled. And then we have another call of the criminal list November 13th at 9 a.m., which was scheduled. And then we had another criminal trial scheduled for November 17th, which was not that long ago, and that was canceled. So it's unclear now when a trial is going to be. He is confined currently at Chester County Prison. That's about what we know. He has multiple charges here. They're going for first-degree murder, third-degree murder, criminal homicide, abuse of a corpse.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
False reports, reported offense did not occur. Not quite sure what that's about. Unsworn falsification to authorities and tamper with evidence.
Wow. Alan, you really did it there. That's quite a lot.
I mean, they're going for everything that they can possibly go for here.
And yeah, look at the date. March 28th, 2017. They took
Yeah,
it
I think that's
from,
when they're pinning down her.
that's
of
when
murder.
they have declared her to be the last time. Well, the 27th, so then the 28th she would be officially missing.
Yep. So that is the most current update on where this
Mhm.
case stands. So to wrap up, Jenna, what are our thoughts? What are our theories?
I
What do we think?
that it's a case of a marriage going bad, disagreements, arguments. I think neither of them were happy anymore in the marriage. And I think that she wanted to take their son back to Poland. And I think he didn't want that. And instead of coming to some type of compromise, I think he just, like these other husbands out there, that he just thought it would be easier to get rid of her than to work on a compromise. It would be easier to take the life of his son's mother and try to make it all go away. But that's just not reality. I mean, you know what, Alan? Be a man. Like, your marriage doesn't work out. Work it out with Anna. Work it out for your son. And you both go your separate ways. I don't know why these killers think that is the best solution. That's my theory behind the motive, the actual killing. We have several theories about that.
I know, and for me, I'm just dumbfounded at how many times we've heard this story, no matter who it is, where it is, that there's marital trouble, and instead of just getting a divorce, people opt for an option that you can't undo, comes with grave consequences, and it leaves children without both parents. Not just one, but
You're
but
right.
both now.
That's the saddest part of the whole
The child
thing.
is just never thought of in this scenario, and I feel like usually it's money that is a motivating factor, right? Like when you separate, you're separating assets. You might have to agree to giving her your 401k that you don't want to give up, and you just think in the moment, like, it's better off that she's just not here at all. And I just have no words, because this is constantly happening all over the world. As long as humans have been around, this is something that people resort to doing. And it's so unfortunate, because they seem like they were a well-to-do couple, well-educated, and it's just anyone is capable of doing this. And that's the scary part. I doubt she ever thought in a million years this guy would do something like that to her.
As we know, when a woman typically files for divorce or leaves,
Mhm.
physically leaves the husband or the relationship, that's the danger zone. And that's when
Yes.
these bad things happen. It's almost like as soon as she showed him the real paperwork, and
Mhm.
maybe they talked or she threw the divorce word around, but when she actually showed him the papers and said, "I'm leaving you," is when he just lost his shit.
Snapped. Maybe he snapped. It's tough to be in that position and that women are victims of so many crimes. They say the number one reason a pregnant woman dies is from homicide.
That's sickening.
And I've seen it in a hospital setting. I've
Mhm.
seen pregnant women say they were being abused, and it's the most heartbreaking thing to hear. I like to believe there's a special place in hell for men who hurt pregnant women or women in general, but especially pregnant women because they're the most vulnerable.
So,
With this case, I just hope maybe he'll take a plea deal. If he's truly guilty, that he will take a plea deal. I'm just speculating. Perhaps that's why we're seeing a lot of movement with the trial dates being canceled. Maybe his attorneys are working towards something. I don't know. But that would probably be in everyone's best interest at this
mhm,
point because I'm sorry, like that. We just went through the probable cause affidavit with you guys, and it doesn't look good. It does not look
mhm.
good for him at
No,
all. Like,
no, he's facing
it's
the rest of his life in prison.
yeah.
And it's just a
And
matter of when they can get this trial to the court.
if it wasn't him, who else could it have been? Really? Who had access to drive her car?
Nobody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could argue, "Oh, well, their spouses, that's his car too. Maybe he needed it for something." But to put it in its final resting place and not tell police, like, I left her car up. Come on. Come
Yeah.
on.
This is
Come
just
on.
yeah, Alan had other ways out of the marriage and they could have worked this out in so many other ways. The son is the one who suffers the most, and I hope and pray that he is with loving family members taking good care of him. I hope he has a good life and
Yeah.
friends and is trying to move on with his childhood the best he possibly can. I just
Yeah,
feel
unfortunately, we
bad.
don't have any information on him. He's a
No.
minor, and I don't know who's taking care of him, but I hope he's in good hands as well.
Yeah, and
Maybe he's in Poland. Maybe he's in Poland, which is what I'm
that would
sure
be
she would have
nice
wanted.
just to get a
Yeah.
new start and a new life. And
Yeah.
we definitely will keep everybody updated on this case as it goes to trial, most likely in 26. So, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
keep
we will
everyone.
share and post and maybe do a headline highlights episode
Yeah.
about this case as it hopefully moves forward. But it did make national headlines when he was arrested back in May. So this is definitely something that is giving a lot of attention.
It is.
And we hope to see some kind of plea deal. That would be the
Yeah.
best
And
case scenario.
justice for Anna, most importantly.
Justice.
And we pray for her family and may she rest in peace. We just thank everyone for listening and continue to follow us, and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify so that you don't miss a single episode.
Thank you, everyone. Until
Thanks.
next time.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.